धन्यवाद सभापति महोदय। हम तो इसी बात पर आश्चर्यचकित थे कि सरकार ने जिस तरीके से इस बिल को लाने का काम किया है, ना स्टैंडिंग कमेटी की बात, ना बीएसी में, बिल्कुल कल ही इसका जिक्र हुआ, रात तक भी ये बिल प्रिंट में नहीं था, आज ही इसका प्रिंट आया और आज इसको बहस करके पास करने की मंशा सरकार की है। निशिकांत जी उससे भी एक कदम आगे गए, इन्होंने कहा बिना बहस के इसको पास करवा दीजिए। निशिकांत जी, मैं आपके इस सुझाव के लिए धन्यवाद आपका जरूर करता हूं, मगर जो आपने बातें की, उन्होंने दो बातें करी आखिर में क्लोजिंग के समय कि बिना बहस करे इसको पास करा दीजिए, और भारत सरकार का धन्यवाद किया कि एक्सपोर्ट जिस तरीके से बढ़ रहा है, इंडस्ट्रियल प्रोडक्शन जिस तरीके से भारत सरकार की पॉलिसी से बढ़ रही है, और ये कहते हुए उन्होंने अपनी बात पूरी करी। एक्सपोर्ट कैसे बढ़ रहा है, ये इसी महीने की एक्सपोर्ट की रिपोर्ट है। एक्सपोर्ट्स फ्रॉम इंडिया, पूरे एक्सपोर्ट्स की बात कर रहा हूं, अपैरल के एक्सपोर्ट्स में मैं बाद में आऊंगा निशिकांत। एक्सपोर्ट्स फॉर इंडिया रोज बाय 1.2% year on year to $22.5 million in June of 2016, the first gain in 20 months। 20 महीने के बाद एक्सपोर्ट बढ़ रहा है। निशिकांत जी ने उसके लिए मुबारकबाद दी जो है भारत सरकार को।
सुन रहे हो?
तो जो है 20 महीने तक लगातार घटने के बाद
सुन रहे हो?
ये एक महीना ठीक रहा, और उसमें भी अगर हम अप्रैल की देखें, क्योंकि जो इस बिल के 3 पहलू हैं, उसमें से एक पहलू अप्रैल को लेकर है। अगर हम अप्रैल के एक्सपोर्ट्स को देखें, टेक्सटाइल एंड एलाइड प्रोडक्ट्स, तो परसेंटेज ऑफ ग्रोथ दैट ईयर ऑन ईयर 2013-14 से 2014-15 में, क्योंकि 2014 में ये सरकार आई, वो 0.4%। उसके बाद अगले साल -2.39% फ्रॉम 2014-15 टू 2015-16, और ईयर ऑन ईयर उसके मुकाबले में जितने महीने इस साल के बीत गए हैं, टेक्सटाइल एंड एलाइड प्रोडक्ट्स हैव registered a negative growth of -6.48%. So, I'm happy that government is trying to think something about this sector, about the apparel exports. But what the government is doing is actually not addressing the root cause of why we are seeing such a steep decline in the textile and apparel exports from our country. In fact, this is a very important sector, as we very well know, sir. Textile sector is a very, very important sector. It accounts for 22% of unorganized labor in the country. So garment sector, textile, apparel sector is a very, very important. It's a labor-intensive sector. We also know that the world overall, the global scenario is such a global scenario is developing that it has opened up an opportunity for India to take the apparel sector, that garment export sector, to the next level. Well, couple of times I've seen our finance minister talk about global scenario and painting the global scenario as very challenging for our country, and painting the success of whatever the economic success the government has had over the last 2 years as something that the government has been able to achieve in a very testing time, in a challenging global scenario. That's not the case entirely. The low commodity price crash, in fact, is actually helping India, not hindering India's global growth. It is helping India. And the same is the case with the lowering of crude prices. And the same is the case, the decline of China. In fact, decline of China has opened up various opportunities for India to replace China as a engine of global growth. This has opened up that opportunity for India, but unfortunately, because of the policies of the government, the Indian economy has not been able to strive ahead to the extent that it can replace China as a global engine of economic growth. And the most starkest example of this, is the garment industry, the apparel industry. I'm just reading out a report by World Bank. Recent report, World Bank has released a recent report on garment export and apparel export. India, in the report says, India is losing out to Cambodia, Indonesia and Vietnam in the race for greater share in the global apparel market being relinquished by China. So the decline of China has given you an opportunity, not just in the garment and apparel sector, but in other sectors, to replace China as a global growth engine. But you've not been able to step up. And the apparel sector, garment sector, is the starkest example of that. Why is that happening? What needs to be addressed are the root causes of why our apparel and garment sector has not been able to step up. What you are doing now, because of the stress that Indian garments and apparel exports sector find itself, the garment industry has approached the finance ministry that, you know, we are losing out. Vietnam, Indonesia and Bangladesh, Cambodia are marching ahead of us. So please allow us to employ people for lesser number of man days in a year. And government is happily agreed to, you know, help them in the hour of their crisis. But government needs to address why they are in crisis. This is a sector that can generate millions of jobs for you. And why they are in crisis? There are two big reasons that the World Bank report points out. One is the high duties on man-made fibers. So why the situation what we are seeing today is a high duty on man-made fibers, and India imports our man-made fibers for weaving these garments and apparel and stitching these apparels to be exported out to the world. And we have very, compared to some of these countries that we talked about, we don't have adequate number of the treaties which we have signed, the non-tariff barrier, reduction in tariff and non-tariff barrier treaties such as TPP, because some of these countries are part of the Trans-Pacific Partnership Treaty that US and the Pacific Rim countries, they're part of this TPP. So that's the reason. That's one where these are the two very important reasons, and government, instead of addressing those reasons, is just providing them a temporary relief, and this relief is going to affect millions of workers working in these in this industry, and we are very we should be very cautious when we come out with a new amendment which reduces the man-hour requirement for 240 days to 150 days. You can imagine, sir, millions of workers will be affected by this. Yes, this will provide relief to the textile and garment manufacturers and exporters. But what about those millions of workers? And by the way, the relief that you are going to provide to the textile the garment and apparel manufacturers is also not going to take away their root problems, the problems such as high duties on man-made fibers. And by the way, man-made fibers, there's always been a debate on why they're man-made fibers, they're high duties. The spinning the firms which are engaged in spinning, they approach the government and they say that we are doing the spinning work, and that's why we need to be protected, and let's keep the import duties high on man-made fibers. But that's also, you know, a picture which is a half-truth, because spinning industry as an industry is not as labor intensive as the labor industry and apparel industry, and this is an industry which needs to be protected, and all the measures need to be taken. So while we don't have anything much to say about this particular aspect of the bill, we just say that this is something that a knee-jerk reaction of the government, a knee-jerk to provide a short-term relief to the exporters without thinking about the workers, and the government needs to do more to safeguard the interests of the apparel and textile manufacturers and exporters of our country. Second aspect of the bill, it talks about the VSNL public sector, you know, the exemptions in capital tax of transferring a piece of land from, in case of a demerger. If it's a demerger of a PSU and you transfer the land back to the government, this particular aspect of the bill pleads for that there should not be any capital gains tax, and the land should be transferred back to the government. Now, you know, the way Nishikant ji brought about some of the letters that the Tatas were writing to the government, etc., seems like that you know, he's privy to the corporate board of Tata in manners and ways that many of us may not be. But nevertheless, from what the explanation finance minister has given, the purpose of this, while in this particular case seems quite well intentioned, one needs to ask certain questions. First of all, when this land gets returned to the government, which is the department of the government with whom this land will vest? What intention does the government has, if any, or in terms of utilization of this piece of land? That needs to be clarified in case government is planning on doing something about this particular land. And in future cases, you know, this is seems like a well-intentioned aspect of the bill in this particular case, but in future cases, in all scenarios, has government thought about other cases, other scenarios, and what about in those cases with whom will that land rest? And because a lot of PSUs, and we are going to see a process of disinvestment and fallouts of a process of disinvestment, and we are very happy if the government gets back the land. We need to save the government from the capital gains tax. We will support the land getting vested back in the hands of government and saving the government from the capital gains tax. But all the other aspects in future, for one particular case, if we are bringing about this particular piece of amendment, how will it affect some of the other potential cases is something that government needs to take a look at and explain. Now the third aspect is the about the marble industry and raising of the tariff barrier from 10% to 40%. And the government is, the government in the last few months has shown that it is happy. It's it's happy to trigger tariff increases. We saw it in the case of the steel industry, and we are seeing that in the case of marble industry. Whenever this happens, one natural question which the government needs to think about also is it also thinking for the customers? What impact will this particular rise in the custom duty and the bound rate from 10 to 40%, while it may help the domestic marble industry, as Nishikant ji was saying, and I don't know what technology does the domestic marble industry not have that the global marble industry has, as you were explaining, Nishikant ji. But at the same time, while this may provide some protection for that industry, what about the customers? Will we see increase in the prices of marble that is available to the customer? And that's another important aspect that the government needs to think about. While we are seeing this, one also gets to ask a question of the finance minister. In the last two budget speeches of yours, whenever you have talked about decrease in the corporate tax, your sentence has always been hyphenated. And I'd like to quote you from those two speeches. Your sentences have always been hyphenated with a reference on how those decreases in the corporate tax would be accompanied by slow phasing out of exemptions. So both times when you spoke, and you spoke about decreasing corporate tax from 30 to 25%, you in the same vein, you said as the corporate tax is we are going to phase out the corporate tax or reduce the corporate tax, we will also do away with the exemptions that where the industry has been enjoying for over a number of years. Now, that's talk on one hand. On the other hand, we see, in this case, an exemption being provided to the apparel industry for a reason that the industry is stressed. They are facing increased global competition on account of these ASEAN economies stepping up their game to replace China as the global provider for apparel and garment goods. We do understand the reason why you're doing that, but like I've already pointed out, that you are putting the cart before the horse. You're not addressing their root problem. You're just providing them a little bit of relief for them to survive in the stress environment. So my question is, why there is a difference between what you have said in your budget speech directionally and what you're doing here? This is in line with what we pointed out earlier, sir, that this government is, and since this is these amendments have to do with the taxation, we have pointed this out during the GST speech as well. This government believes in putting more burden of taxation on the poor. That's why collecting more revenues through indirect taxes. We are seeing that in the debate of as far as GST is concerned, and reducing the percentage of tax collection that we can get through direct revenues. And that we should, in India, we should be following a policy which is exactly in opposite direction. Finance Minister said during that reply of the GST, if I remember, as far as this is concerned. In the case of India, since the tax to GDP ratio is not that high, and India doesn't lie in the queue of the developed nations, that's the reason why we should rely more on indirect taxes. Well, the tax to even if you compare India with other countries with the tax to we have a tax to GDP ratio of about 17%. If you compare India with similar countries, we will still see that the percentage of revenues that we are extracting out of indirect taxes, putting more burden on the poor, is much more. And we need to be very cautious, because the inequality in India is something that we are all equally bothered about. So I think the government should provide an explanation for all the points that we have made. With these words, sir, we will support the bill, but we will ask the government to be very, very cautious about all the points that we have raised, and to provide an answer so that we can, while we are supporting the bill, we can be confident about our support. Thank you.